All right, so Thursday, May 15th, like I said, we're here. We're looking at the Mag 7s. First thing to note, Microsoft on the daily. You know, the price action made a new high today, but the daily BX is telling us otherwise. So, Microsoft, just be careful shorter term because there is a 50-point drop to fill this gap, like I was saying a couple minutes ago. But again, on the weekly, it's just insane. We've been calling this for a while. So, Microsoft, very close to all-time highs. Look at this fucking absolute beauty. Can't make it up. Cannot make it up. Real quick, just looking at the SPY on the daily. Yes, like if I throw the Bollinger Bands on, like I was explaining, we're getting a little overstretched. RSI daily is pushing 70. Daily BX is still okay, but let's just keep an eye. Let's reduce risk. Trim down. Don't be fucking stupid. All right? It's that simple. Just think about where we were 3 weeks ago. The S&P, the SPY, is almost 80 points higher. You have to understand what is happening. So that's all I'm saying. The weekly is fine, but allow some, start de-risking, start trimming, start being smart. Raise cash, because cash is a position too, even if it's only 10%. So same thing with Qs. Basically same deal. Just keep watching it. Let's look at Berkshire really quick. So Berkshire kind of chopping just the last couple of weeks, but I mean it's beating the S&P and the Dow and everything really. So Berkshire flipping red significantly this week though on the weekly BX trender. That's probably due to, wow, this is very interesting. Holy shit. You guys see what I'm seeing right here, right? But price, yeah, I know. So obviously that had some influence on the sell pressure, but this is interesting, really, because the price really hasn't broken the range or anything. You would think it would have broken this range by now, but we're already seeing the sell pressure on Berkshire. So keep that in mind. That's actually pretty interesting. Dow Jones, still looking good. Nothing to worry about here. Moves like a turtle. Pretty much, that's pretty much it for the Dow Jones. All right, let's take a look at Google, who's been absolutely fucking just pitiful. I mean, look at this. Compared to the rest of these, it's getting close. Don't get me wrong. Google is getting close. Similar to that Amazon move we called 2 weeks ago. It's trying, but Google is really lagging. It's trying to hold this. I don't know what's going to happen because the market is so overstretched. Like Google is really, I don't know. I mean, the weekly BX is fine. We're going to have to close tomorrow pretty nicely to keep this. So this is a pretty significant close tomorrow. So again, raise some cash, take some profit, and let's wait for some confirmation. Let's see what's happening here. All right. Apple, pretty much trying to hold the range, trying to grind a little bit. Daily BX is fine. RSI daily is actually still fine. Apple's looking pretty solid, actually. Not going to lie. Let's go to the 1 hour real quick. There is a gap like everything else. All the Mag 7s have a gap except for Google because it's like a fucking, I don't even know what you want to call that. But it'll be fine. It's just lagging. That's how the stock market works. But that's why we cover this every single week, because it's important to look at every single one. Apple's starting to curl. It's looking okay. The weekly's starting to go. Google's trying, like I said, to break out of this, and I'm sure it will. Amazon, if you look at Amazon, kind of just showing us it might be time to pull back a little bit on this name because it just had an absolutely crazy gap up. Obviously, with the China trade deal, everything gapped up. So, again, we're going to watch the dailies. We're going to see. Amazon's looking okay, though, on the weekly. It's just very likely going to come down and fill this gap. So if you're waiting, these are all setups, guys. You should be writing this down or putting it somewhere that you're not going to fucking forget it. Because these are all setups. And whether you trade shares or you trade options or you trade fucking Pokemon cards, you fucking sit down and you do this. You write it down. You find your setup. If you want to go for a long, you let it come down to you and you take it. Even if only half the gap fills, you start scaling in. Position sizing, risk management, scaling in and out. And this is what we're here to do. But you got to take it day by day, week by week, or, you're going to get lost. And obviously, we got to protect downside at all times, especially times like this. So, let's take a look at Meta. So Meta, kind of similar to Amazon, showing some signs. We're seeing some early signs here on Meta. Obviously, like for example, I think Tesla is still fine right here, but I'm expecting Tesla to come down. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But like I said, these are all setups. We're seeing the signs now. So just be patient, have a plan, and stick to that plan. And again, there's another gap here, 560. So you got to allocate your risk. You got to know, okay, if I have enough in my position here and it comes down to this gap, am I going to have enough cash to buy more here? Or am I going to go all in here and then it comes down and then I'm bag holding for another 3 months until I'm lucky to be break even again? And then you lose out on all other opportunities. So I'm sure, listen, I've done it. I'm sure everybody here has done it at least once. So it's important that we master our emotion. We always focus on the downside. Upside is nice. Upside will come, but it comes with patience. And here's a perfect example. None other than, of course, the fucking beast. But I do expect Tesla to maybe cool down very soon. You see we're in this thin channel. I don't expect this thin rising channel to really last that long because they usually don't. I mean, this channel was obviously bigger. This one's more skinny and it's like more straight up. So, you go to the 1 hour and now we have two gaps, significant gaps, which the last one fills at 277. So, at this point in time, looking at the daily charts on most, especially Tesla and, Microsoft, which have just been ripping. Like, you look at these two, when they were in first place, some of you guys know, they were ahead of everybody else early. Tesla and Microsoft ahead of everybody else early, and you're seeing it now. So I'm just saying, if you're looking to buy some shares in Tesla or whatever, shit, you could buy a put. Whatever you want to do. Have a plan. Here's your levels right here. Go on your trading view. Put these levels down, these gaps. Because a lot of hedge funds got locked out in March and in April when they were forced to sell, handling clients' money for, billions and billions of dollars. I also wanted to note on Tesla really quick. If we go on the daily, if you look here during this period after the election, when Tesla gapped up on that Friday, or was it that Wednesday? It never looked back for a long time. And it did cool off here, right? Cools off. But if you look at the RSI stayed high, above 60, pretty much for a span of 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So we have to see if Tesla's going to do something different and rip to 400, or it's going to come down, fill the gaps, and then continue. Me personally, I think it's probably going to come down and fill the gaps because I just want it to be a healthier chart. That's just my brain saying, hopefully, it'll be a nice, healthy ride up. Because as you can see with the election, there was no leg to stand on, and we just gave it all back. And I was fortunate enough to be selling this whole area around Christmas and, mid-November. But, this is why it's important to understand position sizing. Again. So, just keep an eye on the RSI, like I said, because if it pulls another trickaroo and it keeps whipping another 50 points, a lot of bears are going to get fucked. And it's going to be even worse because, parabolic moves like that, yes, they're great, but you want to see strength and continued uptrend, with legs. It's just healthier, obviously. It's healthier. What can I say? So, yeah, Tesla looking okay, but just, again, allow yourself to de-risk, allow yourself to, expect to see some of these levels. That's really it. Just always be prepared. Let's take a look at NVIDIA, Godfather of AI. Pretty much, if you throw on the Bollinger Bands, like I was explaining before, NVIDIA is also pushing outside of the upper Bollinger Band. So this is a reason why I trimmed some of mine today, even though the BX was fine. I mean, I guess you could say fine. It's just barely making a higher high here. So, me personally, like, I had a lot of money in it. I wanted to de-risk. I was up a lot. I wanted to take it. So, I did. I raised some cash. And, again, RSI daily is pushing 70. Went to 73-ish, 72. So, yeah. You don't have to sell your whole position if you don't want to, but that's not what I'm saying either. But if you're in 5% cash and you got all your money in fucking longs, you should be using your brain a little bit, taking some off, taking some profit, keep some of your core average costs, and then move on. But yeah, anybody? Yeah, NVIDIA. NVIDIA. I mean, yeah. Just be careful. That's all I'm gonna say. Just be careful, because I'm trimming. And again, my luck, it'll rip to 140. If it does, great. I hope it does. But I feel comfortable enough to start trimming. And, we have one gap here. We have another one. Oh, I skipped one. I mean, it's not rocket science. My grandmother could see these. You look at these levels, you look at the Bollinger Bands, you look at the risk reward. And yeah, I don't think there's any more words needed. So, again, yes, the market could keep ripping, but just be careful. Can we look at AMD? Yeah, let's look. No, we didn't, bro. I'm just, I'm this is part of the game, bro. Like, you got to treat this like a business. All right, let's look at AMD, because AMD I'm starting to get hopeful on. Starting to get hopeful. It's finally filling this gap a little early, which is good. Wow, look at that. Look at the weekly BX trender on AMD. It's approaching the weekly upper Bollinger Band, so just be careful. And it's well above, it opened well above the daily upper Bollinger Band. I knew it was going to cool off. But, again, similar situation to the Mag 7s. We got gaps. We got to allow our risk to handle it at the end of the day. Anybody you want to see anything specific? AMD's looking fine. Just allow it to have a breather. Don't go all in at fucking 119 and get impatient if it drops to 105. Allow those levels to scale in. Yeah, like Nova just said, it's healthy and it's needed, especially like for names like Tesla and HIMS, yeah, venture HIMS, Tesla HIMS. We don't want to see stupid parabolic. Like, yes, we want to see that if you're in calls, but if you're thinking 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, you said not to chase AMD yesterday, and I chased. All right, well, I hope you didn't go big size, and if you did, you either take the loss and move on if it's bigger than 1 or 2% of your account, or you just, if it shares and you have cash, then you average down. But again, you have to be patient and allow yourself to wait 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, maybe longer, to average and scale into positions if you want to make big money and put big money down on long, you're not long, but 2 to 5 month, whatever, 1 to 2 year, 12 to 18 month swings, those type of swings, or 2 to 5 day swings. All of these go into factor with risk management. It's all the same philosophy. You just have to, you just have to know how to position size. So HIMS, our first early sign, as you can see, what's wrong here. Anybody see it? What's wrong with this? Yeah, the dailies, this is the first sign right here. Lower high on the daily BX. Good job. Money. Just be careful. That's all I'm saying. It's a good 10% above the 10 EMA. HIMS is obviously going to be, I think there's a lot of long-term potential in this company if you look at the weekly. I mean, we called it over here at $28, and here we are, $30 higher. I'm so mad I didn't take this. But what are you going to do, So if you're not in this, just don't scale in like a dumbass. Allow yourself, give yourself a couple of weeks. Say, I'm going to put this amount for this week, and that's it. So, HIMS, anybody else? Anything else you want to look at? Anything specific? T? Yeah, T, I was talking about this earlier. So, obviously, it's just been chopping in this range for like 3 months. The daily's okay. And then you look at the weekly, and it's just, I mean, if you're holding shares and you bought them down here, and you're not in it for the dividends, you're just holding it, I got you, Dragon. Have a good night. If you're, just look at this weekly here. If we close tomorrow, this is not good. You guys see it right here on the weekly time frame. No bueno. MicroStrategy. Yeah, let's look at MicroStrategy. So, obviously the weekly's fine, but in my opinion, I think this is going to pull back a little bit more. The daily just flipped red on... just barely flipped red on Wednesday. And then today we see the significant sell pressure here. Daily RSI was just scraping 70, barely scraping the roof. So, if you're in MicroStrategy, like I said, start trimming if you want. Because, I'm expecting it to come back a little bit. I'm expecting Bitcoin to chop a little bit and then head higher towards the end of this year. But we'll see what happens. It's all coming down to the Fed and when they're going to cut interest rates. But we'll hear more about that in June. It's going to be interesting. Let's take a look at Bitcoin actually real quick. While we're here, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Obviously, just absolutely beautiful since the lows. I mean, it's too big to fail at this point. If you disagree, feel free to comment. But, I mean, Bitcoin is just getting ready to rip. I think it's probably going to trap some bears, trap some bulls that are going to go high leverage, because it happens every time. Everybody's going to max out their leverage here, and then it's going to cause a rip down, a rip up, a rip down, and all that bullshit. So once that settles up, and then they're able to smash through all-time highs, this thing's going to continue ripping. So again, do I think Bitcoin's ever going to go down below? So you think T is going to turn bearish soon? Well, T, like I said, if you look at the weekly, like I just said, right here, if we don't close tomorrow with the higher low, it's not looking good. So just keep that in mind if you're in shares. And you're not in it for the dividends. So. But yeah, basically, quick recap. Just allow room. Position sizing, know when to trim, such as times like now. Look at NVIDIA, look at Tesla, look at Microsoft. Just look at some of these moves on the Mag 7 that we saw coming early. We said Microsoft, Tesla, NVIDIA were in first, second, and third place. Oh, you're in calls? Then I would definitely start taking profits if you're in them. Chess man. I mean, not financial advice. Like, you make your own decisions at the end of the day. That's how you learn. But you have to make these decisions. You have to take what I'm speaking and showing you guys and put it into your strategy and do what works for you. But it comes down to patience and risk management. So, again, Google, not looking all right, but it's trying. Again, it's trying to break this range here. It's trying, but we'll see. Apple's looking a little bit better, but pretty much similar pattern, Similar pattern. So keep an eye on these two. Keep an eye on them. Amazon, allow some room to fill this gap at 195-ish area. Just, give it some room. That's all. Meta, same thing. Give it some room. And yeah, let's be smart. Let's continue to be disciplined. I hope we all made money. I mean, I made a lot of money the last 2 weeks. Yeah, we looked at Amazon. Amazon just allow some room. The daily starting to show some lower highs on the BX trender here. As you can see right here. A lower high from yesterday. So that's our first sign. Nike, I actually tried trading it yesterday. I stopped break even, and then I did not take it this morning. Like a dumbass. Like, I literally was about to get in right here at 61. But it's all right. It happens. There's still a huge gap. So, this isn't really like the best setup in the world, if you ask me. But it is starting to flip on the weekly. So, longer term, this is still a downtrend. But we are flipping on the weekly. And again, we flipped here, and it was, we had a nice little move, and then we lost the leg. So, we got to watch. Yeah, I've been trading shares for about 5 years now. 5.5 years. I learned basically risk management is much easier with trading shares because, let's say for example, I have 50,000 in long shares, right, on Apple. I could risk 1% of my account. Let's say my account is, I don't know, $1 million. Max risk for one, or let's say it's 100,000. Max risk for one trade is 1% of your account, meaning $1,000. So that's my max risk. So basically, if you keep it at 1%, you will have to lose 100 times in a row to blow up your account. And if you do that, then maybe this isn't for you. But, that's why we keep our wrist tight, because I have to lose so many times in a row to lose my money. And I only take good setups. That's what we're here for. Good setups. And like I said, 2 months ago, I said here, we're going to catch this move, and we're going to catch the BX trender on the weekly giving us the signs. And we had plenty of signs in early March, end of March, early April. And then here we are now, just remarkable. But, yeah, with that being said, anything else, last second questions before I hop out, just let me know. But I appreciate you all. I hope we're printing good risk management, good size. Let's see what happens in the coming weeks. Let's wait for some better setups, I should say. And yeah. What are your thoughts on Tesla breaking 350? If it breaks 350 and closes above, or even breaks above 360, 361, like this previous high, like 360, 364 here, then it's probably going to keep ripping. And that's what Tesla tends to do, because everybody tries to short it and it just makes it worse. So this area here, we're meeting up with it soon. So that's why I'm getting a little cautious. But you see here, this previous high. So we'll see. That's what I'm watching. Just play the levels. Let the price tell you instead of guessing. Why guess when you could sit back? And that's it. Yeah, I got you, Tokus. No problem. When are you going to take some Tesla profits? Depending on probably either tomorrow or next week. I may trim 10 to 20% just to free up some cash to get some more if we do get confirmation that we're going to come down. But, we don't see that yet on the daily BX, but we could see it tomorrow. We could see it Monday. So we're going to watch the daily BX trender. And again, just because the RSI is high doesn't mean the stock's going to go down. As you could see here, this whole area, the RSI was just staying up. So it's getting tricky up here. We have to watch carefully. Treat it like a job. And that's it. So I appreciate you all. We got a lot of people in here today. I really appreciate it. Love you guys. I love helping everybody. I hope you could take something from this. Even if you don't trade shares, take something from this. And just learn some patience and risk management. Keep it tight. Know when to trim. And don't be a dumbass. And yeah. Hard work beats talent every time. I don't care what anybody says. You got to put in the work in this game. Because it's a game at the end of the day. It's player versus player. So we're here to be on the winning side at the end of the day. So with that being said, I will catch you guys next Thursday. Don't be a dumbass, and I'll see you later.